Malcolm Brabant speaking to me earlier from Athens. Now we're moving on to the business. Here's Mariam.
Fiona, Tim, thank you very much. The Office for National Statistics says unemployment increased by 35,000 in the 3 months to the end of October to 2.5 million. That's a rate of 7.9%, the highest since the start of the year. The number of people on job seekers allowance fell by 1,200. The number of people working part-time because they couldn't find full-time work rose 46,000 to an all-time high at just over 1.1 million. Now, mortgage lending will shrink by a third next year to its lowest level for more than 3 decades, according to the Council of Mortgage Lenders. The CML's 2011 forecast comes on the same day that a survey by the Building Societies Association said prices were expected to stagnate over the next 12 months. Well, let's talk now to housing expert Henry Pryor, who joins me now in the studio. Henry, thanks for joining us. Sure. A stagnated housing market next year, do you think?
Well, I'm afraid I do. I think that rather like those who might have, anyone who's missed the forecast of Arctic weather heading south tomorrow, clearly is either not paying attention to the weather forecast or is watching the wrong channel. At the end of the day, next year the housing market is going to be very, very challenging, and we've seen from these numbers and predictions from the Council of Mortgage Lenders that they too agree.
What is going to be challenging about the market? Where does the blame lie, in a sense? I mean, are we seeing less mortgages out there? Are we seeing people not being able to buy homes and properties, or prices falling?
We've got 3 things really that are impacting on the housing market through 2011. We're seeing very low transaction levels, which means that in turn that's very difficult for people to actually get a firm grip of the direction of house prices, let alone actual house prices. We've then also got the problem of people being unable to get mortgage finance, which is essential obviously to keep fueling the housing market, that people can continue to borrow. And obviously we've still got, in some quarters anyway, very unrealistic, very historic aspirations from vendors who are still seeking prices that might have been appropriate at the peak of the market but are utterly irrelevant and irrational today.
I see so many for sale signs out there and not a lot of sold ones. I mean, is that the problem? Are people expecting too high a price for their properties?
Well, inevitably we're dealing with a degree of avarice, and nobody likes to sell houses or indeed any asset for less than they have to. What people tend to forget is that by and large falling or lower house prices are a plus for those trying to come in on the market, and the first-time buyer. They're also not too bad for those who are trying to trade in the same market. The only people that really suffer are those coming out of the top who are trying to cash in their chips.
Very briefly, Henry, there was a time during this year that we were talking about lenders starting to be a little less severe about their prerequisites for lending. Yep. Is that the case, or has that gone back now? Well,
there is a grave temptation to blame the lenders in this scenario for the problems the housing market looks like it will have through next year. Slightly uncharitable on our part to do that, because of course lenders have been invited by the Governor of the Bank of England as recently as this last summer to take away the punch bowl, as he said at the time, and to make borrowing money that much harder. If you just if you open the floodgates and lend more, people will buy more, and that will stoke up prices, which just defers the problem for another day, I'm afraid.
OK, Henry, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.